into untapped gaming markets. Now, I know that you guys, as innovators, creators, dreamers, this is what you really want to hear. So please join me as I welcome back to the stage our moderator, Sara Essa, presenter, broadcaster, and founder of Women in Sport MENA and the Padel Collective. And also please welcome back to the stage Mr. Sultan Riyami, Outreach Section Head of AD Gaming. Welcome back, sir. And please give a nice warm welcome to Kishan, Deepak, Palija, the Chief Executive Officer of Geekay Group. And guys, the stage is yours. Enjoy.
Thank you so much, Georgina. Yes, we are going to be tapping into unlocking underserved markets in gaming. Welcome on stage, Kishan and Sultan. Great to have you both here. Well, shall we delve straight into it? Sultan, Abu Dhabi has attracted over 100 global gaming and esports companies.
Well, 120, but who's counting?
Oh, hang on. I'm going to correct that. 120. So that means 20 since we had these questions, maybe?
It's been an exciting year.
Okay, well, we're going to delve into that. What were the key strategic levers that helped position the Emirate as an entry point into untapped markets across the Middle East? And I guess those extra 20 will be exactly that.
Well, look, Abu Dhabi has always positioned itself as wanting to be at the forefront of innovation, wanting to be at the forefront of attracting talent, the best-in-class talent. And because we set a high standard of excellence, we've ensured that the developers that come here have access to key stakeholders that they can then leverage to bolster their offerings globally. If you want to build content and if you want to put the best quality work out there, you need to have a high-quality team. And luckily, Abu Dhabi is a fantastic, livable city for people from all walks of life. And we've created opportunities for both businesses and individuals to truly thrive.
And also, I guess, visas as well. It's super easy to come,
Definitely
set up
helps.
a business.
Absolutely. We started our venture into media through 2454 in 2008. And, we've worked very heavily in film and TV. Film and TV was the cornerstone of what we built our media programs off of. And we pivoted into gaming sometime in 2020, where we attracted some key stakeholders to help us create unique selling points that sets Abu Dhabi apart from the rest of the world. We've worked with Unity Technologies, for example, to build a program that's unlike any program they have anywhere else, that adds value-added services to businesses so that they can get the best bang for their buck when they're developing their games out of Abu Dhabi.
Absolutely, and that's what draws everyone here today for this conference. Well, Kishan, welcome to the conversation.
Thank you.
Retail to regional powerhouse, Geekay went from a single store to 40 plus outlets. Are you going to tell me 60 now, an extra 20? What key consumer behaviors helped you identify markets ripe for expansion?
Right. Hopefully with all the support that Abu Dhabi government is putting in, 60 would be easy, right?
I think so, yeah, why not?
Well, it's a very long story, so I'm going to take some time if you don't mind, right? So, GK, we're into retail, we're into distribution. So we represent some of the biggest publishers in the business, like Microsoft, Activision, Take-Two, Sega. So some of the biggest game launches here in the region are done by us. And we also have a licensing business whereby we represent Netflix as a brand. We represent PlayStation as a brand. So that helps us also work with other industries like apparel or back to school or events or many other categories for that sake. We also have an esports business. We're one of the strongest esports teams across a very popular game called Rocket League. We came second at the Esports World Cup this year. So we're very proud of that.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And this Rocket League particularly is very popular because of being a football and racing game together. So, how did GK become from this one single store to this group of companies, I would call it, is first, obviously, we've listened to our customer, right? I mean, traditionally, the gamer used to go to a store, he used to buy a cartridge, and he used to go to a mall and he would shop and he would go home and play that game. It was very simple, right? And then, then we had more people play together, so it became a multiplayer game. And then online gaming started. With online started the competitive gaming. And then people said, what next? And then says, now there's play to earn, there's blockchain, Summit right opposite us. There's so much happening in gaming. What we've only done in the last 30 years or so is we've just innovated, we've just kept ourselves updated. right? So let's say 10 years ago, 40% of my store would be games. Now, if you visit a GK store, you'll find everything that helps not just a gamer, but a streamer, a blockchain enthusiast, or somebody working on the blockchain, or a crypto enthusiast. You would find it at a GK store. So yeah, it's all about innovation and how we have transformed our business from just a basic retail gaming business to a very, very interesting set of companies that help across gaming.
A one-stop shop, you could say. Yeah. When evaluating new brands or products for the MENA region, what market signals determine if a game or hardware line will succeed?
Yeah, that's a very, very broad question, but what I can tell you is that the biggest advantage that I have is because of the fact that we are into so many businesses, we have so much experience, and our people are really, really passionate about gaming. Me, myself, I'm a very passionate gamer myself. So we have our own metrics, obviously, to evaluate what products could do well in this market versus what could probably do well in a global scenario. So let's say, for instance, the Middle East overall, right? The most popular game today is football, FC, right? That's a no-brainer. And then you have Call of Duty, which is a great game, and everybody knows that. But you know what doesn't really work in the Middle East, for example, is sci-fi or fantasy. Now, why is that, right? I mean, I think Sultan can back me here, but
absolutely,
we didn't grow up watching NASA or people going on the moon. What we used to watch on TV was anime, and anime is super popular. So it really depends on what the product is and what's the IP, what's the following. I think we need to also keep in mind things around the cultural sensitivities and so on. But in all, I think it's all about what the gamer wants. And in this market, it's a bit unique from rest of the world. But I think overall, a lot of it is our consumer, it's the media, and we have our campaigns whereby we have our launch campaigns, so we do pre-orders to find out how the game is going to do. And we hear a lot from intelligent people like Sultan, who's a gamer, I'm sure.
I am a big gamer.
Who tell us, what could work and what couldn't work. And I think overall, with years of experience, what we try to do is we try to make things work, because not everything is kind of made to sell. You got to make the effort, right? So I think over the years, that's what GK has done. We've launched hundreds of products across the market, and we have launched the most successful games, and that's, I think, the secret of our success. We know how to do it.
Yeah, really supporting the products that come to you and into your stores. Building on that, Sultan, many international companies underestimate the regional nuances. Yeah. What are the most important cultural, regulatory or operational insights global publishers must understand before expanding into the GCC gaming market?
I like this question for two main reasons, but I'll start with the one that I think is most relevant. A lot of the data that exists in this part of the world isn't necessarily as accurate or as valuable to the developers and publishers as they might think. I grew up playing games here, and much like Kishan, I'm sure, buying games online through stores like Steam, you're signing EULA agreements, and all that capital is going into their HQ somewhere in Europe. They don't have a regional presence, and the publishing, similar, by the way, for platforms like PlayStation or Xbox, it doesn't only exist on PC. Very few consumers here over time had regional accounts where they were spending dirhams or riyals on these games. That's problematic because it doesn't give an accurate image to the publishers, right, of what the spending looks like in this part of the world. And getting higher quality data out of this region has been hypercritical, and that's what's really set us apart. Now, in the last few years, we've drastically improved on this. We've had a data set come out, and this was something I found quite funny 5 years ago or so when we first launched Abu Dhabi Gaming, that said the average gamer in the GCC was a woman aged 25 to 40. Now, to me, what that says is that it's the mom's credit cards on all these apps that's paying for the kids, right? Because I don't think my sister's playing Candy Crush or Roblox. It's probably my nephew. So having high quality data is very critical in order to convince publishers that, hey, there is a big market here. I spent, I'd say a couple decades now playing and buying games. And with amazing retail stores that we have here from our friends like Kishan, where we have access to these games, it's fantastic. But for a long time, when games weren't published here and you had to go online, it created this sort of feedback loop to publishers that, you know what, maybe there isn't that big of a market. So we've helped solve this. We've worked with publishers for them to better identify just the scale of the market. To give you an anecdote, something that I found quite interesting, the spend per capita on games in the UAE is higher than it is in the entirety of Australia. So there are passionate gamers here. The spend is high, and the interest from our ecosystem to be more involved with publishers on things like esports, for them to bring these opportunities for people to enjoy, it's immense. And I have to thank Kishan, honestly, for opening up doors to many, many publishers to come and talk to us in region, which we wouldn't have had the opportunity to had he not presented the bigger market to them. So it's great.
Do you know you're the second person to bring that stat up on my panels today?
Is that right?
3 panels, 2 out of 3, that stat has come up. Yes.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to find a different
I
anecdote
completely
then.
second what he's saying. There's a lot of work that has gone in from them and from the publishers and from us to make sure that a lot of these games get the right focus and the right data reaches the ultimate decision makers, because that's what makes the big difference. That's how the marketing budgets are going to come. That's how we know that how the game is doing, who's the buyer, and that's how, when you make the reiterations of those games, you can make the right informed decisions.
So getting into the nitty-gritty a little bit more, what would you say to publishers who are looking to expand in this market about consumer behavior? Can you delve into that a little bit more?
Right. So I think I would recommend a lot of them talk to us. That's for sure. But I would say one thing that keeps Middle East apart from a lot of other countries around the world is that we have beautiful malls here. And then when you have beautiful malls, you have people going into the malls and shopping, right? So I think a lot of people wouldn't know that 50% of the game purchases are still happening physically in the Middle East. That's probably the highest in the world.
I mean, if you go into one of the malls on a Friday or Saturday, it's heaving.
Yep.
It's
and
true.
then it's also, like he said, it's the mothers buying, right? And then the mothers are not really comfortable buying it online. They're just buying it in the store. So that's one thing to consider. I think what's happened in recent times, obviously it's become more easier to make games, I would say now, with AI and so many other tools available on hand. A lot of people think to release their games digitally, but I would highly recommend all the publishers to definitely consider the physical side, which is massive in the Middle East particularly, but also globally, that does very well. The other things that you need to consider is the cultural sensitivities. What you need to understand is when talking about the region, you're talking about several countries, and then you have talking about several authorities that you need to work with to get your games approved. And everybody sees these cultural sensitivities in a different way. As something that could be approved in the UAE may not be approved in Doha, for example. So that is something you need to consider. So when you build your games, because it's kind of expensive to build your games and then make changes, right? So it's important that you consider all the cultural sensitivities, what is approved, what is not approved, and make sure that you make the right choice when approaching the region. Moreover, I think what you need to also consider is what the consumer likes in this part of the world, right? What may be popular in Asia may not necessarily be popular in the Middle East. It's a very, very different market. I think one thing that you want to also consider is, do you want to build for consoles? Because PlayStation has a huge market here. There are millions of PlayStation in this market. Or do you want to just build on PC and mobile, right? And mobile is a growing market as well. So there's many things that a publisher is consider, but this is a short answer, I would say.
Definitely a lot of market research, and I guess speaking to major players like yourself. Now, just before we jump into the next section, if anyone does have any questions, there will be an opportunity towards the end to speak with our panelists. So do raise your hand and we'll get a mic in your hand. But just moving on a little bit, Sultan, AD Gaming has built partnerships with some pretty major names, Unity, Ubisoft, My Games and Nexon. What success patterns have you observed among the companies that scale most effectively in Abu Dhabi and the wider MENA region?
Understanding your consumer. I think a lot of times when people do marketing to specific demographics, they make the mistake of thinking that everybody who speaks Arabic's the same. And that's just so far from the truth. And I'm sure it's the same in India. You speak to different demographics in different parts of India. You speak to different demographics when you go to Europe. Not everybody's culturally the same, and not everyone's cultural sensitivities are the same. You know, we had fantastic conversations with Rockstar Games earlier this year, very public conversations where we had our National Media Council involved, and we've made proactive changes to the final release copy of the game that'll be coming to Kishan stores in November 2026, guys. Mark your calendars. And this is all because they were willing to come and meet us halfway. They were willing to come and understand that, hey, maybe we should be talking to the consumers in your part of the world a bit differently. You know, something I really liked that Disney did at the early days of the pandemic is they wanted to make sure that the content that they created for people in this part of the world that were going to go on mobile or PC in the gaming sphere had people from this part of the world working on them. If you have people from here working on projects, they'll understand that, hey, maybe this isn't something that'll speak well to audiences in our part of the world. Make small, simple changes. They did this, for example, in a few of their films where I think it was Wreck-It Ralph, where in the US, the kids were eating broccoli and they were like, gross, broccoli. But in Japan, kids love broccoli. So they switched that out for something else. You know, these small changes can actually go a long way to ensuring that you have that really appropriate coverage of everyone's culture.
Very interesting. Didn't know that about broccoli.
Yeah.
Learned something new here.
Yeah.
Not what I was expecting to come up. Well, Kishan, over to you. From retail to e-commerce to esports, GK has expanded aggressively. Which upcoming markets or product categories do you believe are currently undervalued today?
Well, there's a lot, but I think where I'm gonna really push Sultan more is I think what I really want to see. I mean, it's been 23 years for me, and I've sold some of the best games ever made. Right? Talk about Grand Theft Auto, talk about Call of Duty, talk about FIFA, talk about any Final Fantasy. I mean, I've sold some really good product, but most of those products come in from Asia, they come in from America, they come in from Europe, and I'm born and brought up here. I've lived all my life, in Dubai. So I really want to see a AAA game coming out of the region that has global appeal. I think that's a big opportunity that they're missing.
I'll even take it a step further, Kishan. Whether it's AAA, whether it's indie, if it's mobile, if it's small or big, I want to see games published from this part of the world get global appeal. I want us to have the talent here that'll build these games. And the only way you do that is in collaboration with studios so that they bring the right quality businesses here. But at the same time, we need to running our talent development initiatives to also ensure that we can get there. What Kishan said is exactly what my North Star is. So if you were to ask me, what box am I willing to tick to say that I've met my targets, I've met my goals, and I can safely retire? Hopefully not, but that would be it. I want to see an amazing AAA or indie game go global from this part of the world. And I said this a bit earlier on a panel, so I don't want to repeat it, but there's no better way to export culture than through games. You can sit through 1 million classes. You could read thousands of books. But if you spend 10 to 20 hours on one video game that really captivated you, you will resonate with what you learned in that story. And you'll pick up a lot more information from that than I think you would watching 1 million videos or watching 1 million movies.
I want you to dive a little bit deeper on developing talent.
Sure.
What do you think we're currently missing? Is it sort of the volume of talent? Is it talent knowing how to get in to be able to create games? What do you believe is missing right now?
So we've done a thorough analysis on what we think the climate needs in order for us to build better quality talent and more talent into the ecosystem. And it's a mixture of things. We need to, and it's honestly, it's chicken and egg. Right? I don't want to train people for jobs that don't exist, but I also can't bring companies in here that want to hire people that just aren't there. So what we've done at Abu Dhabi Gaming is masterfully balance. It's a careful balancing act. Both of these two things together. We have an incredible talent development team that's made it their core priority to include as many education opportunities into the already existing universities and to new programs that are going to be entering our ecosystem, similar to the partnership between Rubica, the game design university out of France, and Abu Dhabi University, but also the work we did with Unity Technologies to get their train-the-trainer programs into 14 universities across the UAE. While we're doing that, I'm traveling the world trying to bring businesses. Kishan and I joke that we live 50 minutes apart, but I have to go to Germany to see him because we're always at conferences together, you know? So it's a careful balancing act, really is what it is. We've put together all of the different core components that we think will drastically make a difference on the infrastructure side. We've done the same on the education side, and with the help of some of amazing partners similar to GK Games and some of the great talent we've worked with throughout the years, we've also made an impact on attracting some key business opportunities into Abu Dhabi as well.
And how far away do you think we are from releasing a AAA game out of this region?
Well, I'm under NDA. I can't talk about it now, can I?
Oh, so there's something in development.
Well, no, I'll say this. I think the next big title that'll come out of the region will happen a lot sooner than people will think. I think there's going to be some incredible storytelling that'll tap into the thousands of years of incredible history, mythology, and culture that this region's been cultivating and been passing on for generation and generation. There's finally going to be some incredible content that the world will be able to consume out of that space.
And with all the infrastructure that we've built over the years and all the excitement that we've created internally and all the marketing support that we can provide, I'm very excited to launch those games.
Oh yeah, you and me both.
Do you know
Kishan.
about
You and me
it?
both.
Are you part of this NDA?
No, not yet. I would, I mean, you know, you never know something is successful until it is successful.
That's exactly right.
I mean, you see hundreds of games, right? Like in my position, I see thousands maybe, but you don't know what's going to be successful until it is successful. A very interesting story which me and Sultan was talking about was, for example, let's take an example. We distribute a publisher called CD Projekt Red, and they have a game called Cyberpunk, right? And a few years back, they released a game called Witcher, and they're a Polish publisher, and that made Poland more famous as a game developer.
Right.
Just one game, just one success story made it so popular.
One breakout hit.
Just one break, and then you have these other, studios coming up. Then you have other companies coming up. In fact, when the president or prime minister, I can't recall, met the U.S. president, he gifted him a copy of the game.
Wow, that's amazing.
So I completely agree that when through video games, you can actually pass on cultures.
It's true.
And so I'm really looking forward to that big game.
Yeah, you and
that
me
we're
both.
gonna build.
You and me both, Kishan. I'm really, really excited. I think that, the region's really primed for it. There's talent that for the longest time we've been exporting to places like Europe, Canada, and Asia that we're now not exporting anymore. We're now importing. And that's going to make the difference. I think that's where we now get to onboard some of the lessons learned from amazing developers that are on the ground, some of the ones you mentioned, and also, have some homegrown talent put out things that'll be incredible for years to come.
Definitely. And talking of increased talent, there's also increased funding going into this.
That's
so
right.
Sultan, with over 30 billion dirhams going
Committed,
in.
yeah, that's the government's
being
commitment
invested.
into the creative cluster industries. And, ourselves at DCT, what we run are subsidies and incentives to businesses that really want to thrive and build their visions out of Abu Dhabi. Our friends at the Abu Dhabi Investment Office open up opportunities for companies that want to drastically scale from where they are to where they should be. And our relationships with a lot of financial institutions and family offices has been immensely useful at helping different studios get that final stage of funding or that little bit of extra support to get their projects out to market. Yeah.
And where do you see the biggest opportunities for studios and publishers and esports organizations? I mean, we have some
right here in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, we have obviously the Games of the Future coming up.
That's right.
Do you want to talk on that a little bit and perhaps some other big...
Absolutely. Our philosophy has always been to bring the best-in-class events into Abu Dhabi, and with Games of the Future and with the digital esports component to it, which I think is a great idea, we're going to try and attract more IP like this down the line. They're going to be doing a lot of very interesting things, and I met somebody today who was telling me that the karting will happen physically, and then they're going to take the digital aspect of it onto WRC, the race. I thought it should be Mario Kart. Honestly, that would be a better way to do a digital version of karting. But I think there's some problems with throwing bananas on the on the YAS F1 circuit. They didn't want to let people do that. In general, I think esports and gaming events like this, like the one we're at today, is a core part of what attracts in global talent into Abu Dhabi, and we're going to continue to do more and more of these.
Sounds very exciting. If anyone doesn't have any questions, do pop your hand up. We will come to them very, very shortly, and they will bring a mic to you. Yep, there's a couple here if we can get a mic out. Just before we move on to that, Kishan, how is youth purchasing behavior shifting in GCC gaming markets, and how does that influence product selection and retail expansion strategies? I guess that's the mum's credit card category.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, it is that, and also I think a lot of content is also bought at retail. So through gift cards and various other channels. What is also very interesting that I want to point out is a lot of other industries are getting onto it as well. I mean, there was one fireside chat before, how can fashion, be part of gaming? So that's also happening. We see toys today coming with gaming codes. So a person actually buying toys in the store is actually going and gaming at home. So there's many ways to buy video games today than we could do 15 years back, right?
I bought Assassin's Creed, the last one, using Instacart to get it off of GK Games. You know, you have access to digital consumers directly on these platforms as well.
Yeah, it's interesting that Sultan mentions this because today, sitting here, I can order a video game. In 30 minutes, it can come from one of our stores through one of these delivery platforms, along with the shawarma. But the other interesting thing that we are working on is that games are very release specific. So today, if a gamer wants something, he wants it today. So if there's a game launch at 12 o'clock, he wants it at 12 o'clock. So we're now working with these platforms to deliver the games at midnight, so the gamer is not disappointed, or he doesn't have to wait for the next day to get his game delivered.
That's fantastic.
I love that. And that's a nuance of our region and the convenience that has all been set up. Should we go to the floor and get some questions from there?
Yeah, I saw someone raise their hand down there.
Okay, we've got one here. We've got a mic. If you can just introduce yourself, your name and who the question is directed to, please.
Hello, how are you? My name is Estefania. Nice to meet you. Thank you so much for all of your insights. My question goes around because, especially for you, Sultan, you were speaking about exporting, right, talent and everything. My question is a little bit on the other side, which is importing talent from different regions into the Middle East and especially into the UAE. So I represent Isurus. Isurus is a media entertainment company that bridges brands and young talent through gaming, esports, streaming, and different solutions for the brands. So my question is, for example, now we are in Latin America and also in the USA, but what's your best advice to have an impact or to move here to the UAE? What would be your main advice?
Yeah, so I get asked this question a lot. I think we have a lot of businesses that are a lot more interested in tapping into the market as opposed to being a part of the market. And what I see our leadership and a lot of the entities around Abu Dhabi take seriously is when people do make that commitment to be here. If you show that what you're trying to do is to build something globally, sure, but also have an expansion office be a part of that, there's a lot more interest from having government, public and private stakeholders take interest in that. Being on the ground isn't necessarily as difficult as it once was. There's plenty of ways that you could do this. And from COVID era to now, we've drastically improved on a lot of these processes. Ourselves, we work closely with the team at the Yas Creative Hub, where you can get a license to operate a media-based business. That's an FZ LLC, which gives you offshore status. But we also work closely with our friends at the Abu Dhabi Global Markets that similarly offer licenses for businesses that also want to have UK common law be the main litigation and arbitration behind their businesses. Onshore businesses also have the benefit of having 100% ownership for foreign individuals. This has changed from what it was before, where you needed to have a local partner. So the barriers for entry have drastically gone down. Opportunities to work with some incredible regional brands to get distribution, such as Geekay, exist, which makes it a lot easier for us to convince global publishers, developers, or businesses that are trying to tap into the market to do business with us. So yeah, the barrier for entry is very low. And if you reach out to anyone from my team, please.
So we operate in 6 countries across the GCC. I can tell you that UAE is the most easiest and the simplest of all. Anything can be done here in a matter of days. You will not find this anywhere else in the world. Some of the easiest way to set up your company and settle. I think I can give credit to the leaders of this country who've done an amazing job. And I've set up companies myself into all across the region. And I can tell you it's at least a 3 to 6 months process, whereas UAE is a few days. So big difference.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your questions, Stefania. If we can get the microphone over here to the gentleman in the striped shirt to begin with. We do have time, so don't worry, we will come to all questions. This gentleman here, if you just raise your hand so she can see you. Yeah, perfect.
So thank you very much for an insightful conversation. My name is Artem. I'm from Kazakhstan. It's really been great to be here. The question is some sort of question that concerned parents would ask. How to prevent binge gaming, and what do game development companies do from their side to alleviate this problem?
So I find this always to be an interesting question because I've never heard a parent say that my kids binge footballing or binge basketballing.
Right.
Right? But binge gaming is a problem. And I've also similarly never heard any parent complain when their kid comes back from an esports competition and pays off the mortgage. So in the same sense that kids have an avenue to be great at video games in some capacity, similar to how they are in sports, there's so many ways to ensure that your kids game responsibly. I think the responsibility of that really does fall on the parents. But game developers need to also develop games to be more conscious of how addictive they are. For a long time, the carrot on a stick model of keeping gamers engaged, creating mechanisms by which you reward them for spending more and more time in games, it's proven to not be the best way to keep long-term retention. If I burn somebody out from playing my game 12 hours a day over the course of a month, they're definitely not coming back when I release my next update. They're done with it. So having good models in which you design the incentive for people to play, instead of it being hourly, maybe daily, is one way to do this from a developer side. But also, I think parents need to be a bit more engaged with how their kids' habits are with games. A great example I can give, and this is a bit more personal. My nephew was never somebody who I would think to be somebody to be very roped into these games. But the minute he started playing, I'm not going to mention the title, this one particular game, he became a lot more, let's say, invested on screens than he was on what wasn't in screens. So creating that buffer time where, hey, you play for X number of hours, sure, but you need to earn that. You need to create a reward mechanism by which they have the ability to be able to do that. And that can't be done by a developer. That really has to happen from the parent side. But I will say that if your kids are good at games, if they're very good at games and they want to try and get better, let them pursue it the same way you would if they were good at football or if they were good at basketball. There might be something there. And the world we live in today, with the prize pools we see at tournaments, I mean, it's worth it.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about some sort of gamification with the real physical games like football? So that are brought online and like teams and they connect on that basis?
Very good question.
It's
so there's
coming,
an event
isn't it?
happening
Games of the
very
Future.
soon called Games of the Future. And the goal of that is to bridge physical and digital. So in Games of the Future, you're going to see people playing real football and then they're going to play digitally right afterwards to see who's better at, it's a great concept. I highly recommend you participate at the event if you have a chance to attend.
Same with
Yeah,
basketball
thank
as
you.
well, not just football.
Yeah, football, basketball, karting. So they're going to be doing racing at the Yas Marina circuit. Yes, what is it? F1 circuit. And then they're going to be doing a digital simulating race afterwards. So they're creating that gap. They're bridging the gap between physical and digital at the Games of the Future event that's taking place next week.
I want to add to you, Sultan.
Yeah, please.
What I want to say is that why not think of why think of gaming only as a hobby? Why not think of it as a career, for example, right? I have players in my team, right, who earn up to $20,000 a month. There are players globally who earn $200,000 a month playing video games, just as salaries. This is beyond the prize pools and all the marketing, promotions that they get, right? So at the end, some of these gamers are earning millions. And it's not just the gamers. Then there's support staff, there's streamers, there's YouTubers.
Absolutely.
There's influencers. It's a complete big industry now. It's billions. Why do you think Abu Dhabi government is putting so much effort into it? Why is all the other governments around the world putting so much effort into it? This is a real industry now. It's no longer that bad hobby that we were talking about back in the day. Today, because of the whole idea of connecting everyone together, there are games that you can earn money today through blockchain. There's play to earn. I mean, I think what a lot of people don't realize today is that the future engineers are not going to be making buildings. They're going to be coders, and they're going to make things digitally, because a lot of people will be in that digital world. And that's where we are headed now.
It's an interesting one. And only to add just one more thing. You know, when we look at esports, and I had the opportunity to go backstage at some of the larger events that happen around the world, you know, when you see 5-10 people on stage, I said this earlier today, some of you might have heard it, when you see 5-10 people on stage competing, there's hundreds of people behind the screen, you know, making that happen. And a lot of times, those people need to understand the games that they're now, you know, curating for audiences very well. A good example of this is if you watch any Counter-Strike tournament.
Sure, I used to play it a lot.
Me too.
6 hours non-stop.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly right. My mom used to disconnect the internet in the house to stop me from playing. So no, the people that work in the back end, that follow, that create that camera experience, there's 3-4 different people. They need to understand the game so intimately to know where the next exciting moment of action will be in order to not miss it. Because there's 10 people that are about to get into a fight. You don't know which one you need to watch, but the person who understands the game very well will. And so there are career opportunities in gaming that might not be traditional, but they are in production. They're in the back end, the support staff, the psychologists, the psychiatrists, the people that even work in finance or accounting. People that work in HR can have opportunities working for esports teams. You know, so the opportunities are there. And yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. And as the population grows here, we need that. So it's
Absolutely,
wonderful that it's a growing industry. One last question. The gentleman with the black cap.
Yes.
Please tell us your name and who the question is directed to.
Hi. Hello. Hi, my name is Gavin, and I have 2 questions. I
Right.
think both Mr. Kishan and Sultan will be able to answer. The first question is about distribution. Are we going to see a bridge between the normal distribution for games that are developed to having something of like esports kind of bringing these games to the masses? Because traditionally, not everyone is a gamer. But if you have in real life events where people can see people playing Counter-Strike, esports, Formula One, is that a new way of distributing the games and probably promoting the culture, as you stated earlier? That's my question. Maybe the last one is, how do we get talent outside the UAE in development and all these gaming niches to come here and get some good stuff done? Yeah, thank you.
I think I'll let you answer the distribution one, and then I'll answer the talent side.
Well, isn't it already happening? I mean, if you know the game Fortnite, it was a physical game, and it came on as a physical game, and for a few months it was a physical game.
Yeah, you had to buy a hard copy. That's right.
And then I actually sold a few hundred copies, and today they're worth thousands, by the way, because it's a rare commodity.
That's right. Yeah.
But then it became a full-time digital game, and now it's an esports title. So people are actually playing it, at esports event physically, competing against each other. They're playing it online, and there's revenue that's being made. Moreover, I don't know if you're aware, but from time to time, Fortnite hosts these concerts where they're involving the music industry, and they also, kind of connecting it to the toy industry. You can buy a toy and you can get a Fortnite skin, for example. So it's kind of connecting a lot of way into the real world. It's happening not just on esports, it's happening in the luxury sector, it's happening on esports, it's happening in the toy sector. Another example is Roblox. I mean, in Roblox, you can play a game and you can even build a game, right? Today, I met a 15-year-old Roblox developer who makes games, right, for a living. And he's now been hired by a really large company to take care of their digital strategy. But this guy on the side is making Roblox games, and today he's making entire cities. For example, if I'm not wrong, Mall of the Emirates is on Roblox. Or
it is. There's a lot of IP like this.
So there's so much you can do from games to the real world, and that's what the future really is. It's going to be all about that. With AI, with virtual reality, augmented reality, I believe that's where we're headed, honestly. Roblox is a little bit early in its time, but a lot of the games in the future are going to be like that.
Yeah, UGC, user-generated content, is really opened up for people that have a very rudimentary understanding of how to build games to enter the space and enter the industry. And that, in and of itself can create opportunities for people to build businesses. One of the most successful game studios we have, out of the 100+ studios that are in the Abu Dhabi ecosystem, are developers on Roblox. They have over 500 million experience visits, and they've sold millions of different avatars and digital assets to people that play their games. It's a very incredible space.
And something exciting is coming, by the way. You will be able to order an item inside Roblox and get it delivered to your house. That's
amazing.
The next thing, right? So this is over and above what Talabat and InstaShop are doing. A Roblox gamer sitting and ordering some milk and bread. Think of that. That's coming.
That's very interesting.
Well, I was going to close out the conversation by saying, tell us one thing to look out for in 2026. I think you've already told us, Kishan. How about you, Sultan, to finish up?
Oh, man. Well, I think 2026 will be the rise of a lot of smaller indie studios following the model of what we've seen be enormous success from some incredible studios over the last couple of years. We've seen Balatro come out of a single developer. We've seen the sequel to Hollow Knight, Silk Song, which originally was a team of just 3 people, believe it or not, in Australia. We've seen the success of Expedition 33 really take the world by storm. I think 2026, 2027 will be more of the same. We're going to see more incredible games made by studios that are innovating, that don't have the $100 million budgets. And that's what I'm most excited for.
And I think you've left us all, both of you, very excited for the future, especially in this region. Thank you all for joining us for this discussion and for your contribution with questions. Please put your hands together one more time for Kishan and Sultan.
Thanks so much.